I more or less have an existential crisis every time I step into the theater for a Hindi film because I'm the only one there. And to finally have that collective theater experience where everyone was having a good time, I was relieved. And finally, a movie that had so much hype in 2018 and which delivered on all fronts, it's so good to see a sequel that more or less, hits the spot. With everyone mainly trying to debate on whose movie this is. Is this a Rajkummar Rao movie? Is this lady superstar Shraddha Kapoor's movie? Is it Maddox's marketing brilliance of the horror universe they've built? These innumerable, inconsequential, mute arguments are happening just because the movie is opening to unprecedented numbers. What one should realize is that the hype is because the first film was a solid movie from a writing and performance POV. A lot of that same credit rests on the shoulders of the writing of Raj and DK and the performances of the cast, especially the banter and hilarious moments shared between Vicky, Rudra and Jana. Stop with labeling this movie and its success being attributed to an individual, because when they're going to feature in a dud later on, you're going to self-reflect and call this a fluke. A well-made, popular IP is coming with its sequel, and having hit it out of the park with its trailer and music, the hype is real. Stop trying to create narratives that put people on a pedestal and discredits others, because this is one of the few projects where holistically everything beautifully came together. It was the underdog and now it's reveling in its glory. Let it be the beautiful story of when films get all their departments right on point, success is inevitable. A quick recap so that we are on the same page regarding everything. Stree 2 is opening in the vicinity of 50 crores on its opening day, including paid previews. The first movie presented 4 unique, hilarious and interesting characters, played by Rajkummar Rao, Abhishek Banerjee, Aparshakti Khurana and Pankaj Tripathi in the small town of Chanderi. On the 4 days where the town congregates for a festival, the legend of Stree whispers in every corner, compelling people to paint the walls of each house with the saying, "O Stree, Kal Ana," in order to ward off the vengeful spirit. When it is revealed that years ago, the jealous mob of Chanderi killed the courtesan Stree and her lover that she was about to get married to, her spirit looms everywhere, hateful of men, abducting them by calling out their name and trapping them as they turn to see her. Her motivation was to wipe away those who took away her chance of finally having love and a peaceful married life. As the characters get the help of Shraddha Kapoor, a mysterious character who has been trying to trap Stree for 3 years, Shraddha and Raj, in a scuffle, cut her choti, the source of her powers. The final scene reveals Shraddha to immerse the same hair with her own, insinuating that she also is a witch who had intentions to garner Stree's power. As Stree is weaker now, she notices a statue created in her memory, stating this time, "O Stree, Raksha Karna," making her finally feel like the town that shamed and kicked her out gives her the respect she always wanted. What happens now? This time around, we are again in the same small town that is now being haunted by a ghost by the name of Sarkata, a ghost destined to appear after Stree leaves. This is a ghost who is abducting women and is slated to be the being that killed the courtesan Stree and made her the roaming spirit she is today. The tables turn this time around, where we had found the men being scared to even step out of their houses in the first film. The women are under threat this time, hoping that their chosen one, Vicky, can be of some help. Whether the group of misfits with the help of Shraddha Kapoor can end Sarkata and the chaos he is causing before the end of the Mahapuja forms the basic premise of Stree 2. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of the film so that you guys can ultimately decide whether to watch the movie in theaters or not. The underwhelming aspects. Lame moments that are inevitable. When a movie has all the pressure to live up to the quality of the first film, that in my opinion hit it out of the park, especially with the banter shared amongst the group, these are tough shoes to fill. For the most part, the sequel gets these moments of light-hearted camaraderie and characters pulling each other's leg on point. But just like any other stand-up set, some gags will, well, not land. The callback to the iconic Vicky plead I felt was slightly underwhelming, something that just did not capture the feeling of Vicky being head over heels for Shraddha. In this instance, it seemed rather forced and rushed. The writing also extracts gags from a play of words. For example, Bittu being nicknamed Bits by a girl, and then Vicky goes, "Thank God, tera naam Tittu nahi tha." It's a very Priya Darshan staple that just didn't hit the nail on the head. You know, portions in which I say a word and you hear something else, or usi confusion pe gag hota hai. Other than these fleeting moments, the first half of this film especially packs in so many laughs. I was so happy to see a packed theatre where you could just hear the echoes of people having a good time, and you can see the public finally having that collective theatre experience after a long time. Extremely dark visuals and a heavy dependence on CGI. It is undeniable that through several sequences of the movie, you do have to slightly squint your eye and wonder what exactly is going on. With Maddock having a heavy dependence on special effects and most of the paranormal beings appearing in the night, the film has several portions which are dimly lit and have several moving elements that you have to keep track of, causing for a lot of action sequences to slightly disorient you. The crutch that movies from the horror universe have is that most of its antagonists are purely digitally created, whether this be the case of Munjia, the appearance of Stree, or even Sarkata. And when these elements are placed in action sequences, it does sometimes take away from the grounded nature of what made the first film so special. See, the first film heavily depended on atmosphere. It built the tension with its score, the spooky environment of Chanderi, and the anticipation of the reveal is far scarier than the monster itself. So the horror elements are purely the antagonists screeching and shouting in this film, which I believe is less impactful than a movie that captures a terrifying atmosphere. The climax action set piece could have definitely been trimmed as it carries on for far too long, becoming a duel straight out of a marriage between Tekken and Mortal Kombat, between Yoshimitsu and Goro. I know this is a very obscure example, but you'll exactly know what I'm talking about when you see the film. The good, social context, and holding on to the core. You know, one may dismiss a movie like Stree to just be a fun, carefree horror comedy, but when you see how writer Nirain Bhatt has flipped the script with Amar Kaushik, it really did make me notice on its social context and impact. Chanderi is a very interesting small town, a town where women live independently and roam freely, have agency and live without fear. This is all caused due to the presence of Stree and the fear of men that if they step out of their houses, how they will get abducted. With the introduction of Sarkata, however, the social dynamic of Chanderi changes. Women fear stepping out of their houses now. The egalitarian town that could be imagined only to be a fantasy in India becomes a thing of the past. Those who are not subservient, are independent, driven and motivated, are targeted. And I couldn't help but think about the real life parallels in our own country. I couldn't help but constantly reflect on the sorry state of women and how attacks, abductions and horrors, even at the comfort of their own home and work, is a ticking time bomb. This of course is my feelings regarding current events in our country seeping into my writing for the film, but I couldn't help but reference this even for a review of a presumably light-hearted horror comedy. My biggest fear with the departure of Raj and DK from this universe was that the core character and personality of Chanderi and its people also will go with them, but this is not the case at all. This was the best news for the film and its quality. Comedic gags. I kid you not, the audience was in splits, especially in the first half of the film. The group of misfits, Vicky, Bittu, Rudra and Jana, are a riot in this film. There are too many moments which are reflective of clever writing, but the actors have such hilarious ad-libs also, moments which seem unscripted. I couldn't help but finally have a goddamn good time at the movies. Rajkummar Rao daydreaming about Shraddha Kapoor extracts several funny moments, even in the countless sequences where he shows his whole batisi at the very sight of her. It's the smitten simp look that always makes you chuckle. Only Rajkummar Rao can make me uncontrollably laugh as he jams to Rema and Selena Gomez's Calm Down. I'm telling you, it's absolutely bonkers. A diss on the iconic rockstar dialogue made me absolutely lose it. कहाँ मिलता है तुम्हें ये प्यार? सही गलत के बीच में एक मैदान है and the punchline is just the icing on the cake. Sarkata biting Jana's bum only for him to marrow conies to the ghost had the whole audience in splits. It's the balance of the on-point comedic timing of the actors and the pure absurdity that we see on screen that makes so many moments from the film absolutely hilarious. A Sanjay Dutt reference and Vicky also asking for a timeout mid-fight from the ghost have to be some of the most hilarious moments from this movie. I wish they kept such consistency in the second half of the film too, because the humor slightly dissipates then. The cast. I absolutely loved seeing the cast in this film come back together. There is a certain charm to these actors together. Rajkummar, Aparshakti and Abhishek Banerjee actually seem like friends who grew up together, who will be ride or dies no matter what transpires, but also are so naive and foolish that they leave their friends in the most vulnerable and awkward situations. Poor Jana, played by Abhishek Banerjee, is always put in the mix of the main conflict with the ghosts, and you empathize with his growing frustration. His attempts to contribute to solving the case, as Pankaj Tripathi sarcastically claps for his IAS aspiration, accounts for hilarious moments. Pankaj Tripathi as Rudra has the most dry sense of humor. He is especially hilarious when he is trying to educate the group with his Mahabharat references, and it goes all over their heads. Aparshakti provides solid support as the love-struck Bittu, but has little to do compared to the other three. Shraddha Kapoor gets such a badass mass action entry in this film. I couldn't help but clap seeing the presentation of a commercial Hindi film heroine. In an era still where women are mostly saved in action films, being the damsel in distress in the shackles of the villain, here Shraddha is doing the rescuing. She has this ethereal presence. She holds on to the same mystery as the first film, and you totally understand Vicky being smitten, because Shraddha looks like an absolute dream in this film. Rajkummar Rao, however, in my eyes, carries this film. He is effortlessly funny, and he is the only actor who in dramatic portions convinces you of the situation despite the absurd events taking place. His anxiety at the thought of being Chanderi ka Rakshak is as hilarious as him blushing seeing Shraddha just smile at him. A solid actor who always delivers, and yes, the film rests largely on his conviction and he kills it. I also love the fact that even the integration of Tamanna Bhatia is purposeful and an active part of the script versus just a casual item number. The integration of the universe. What I especially loved about this film was, from a screenplay perspective, how it integrated the installments from the horror universe, connecting where movies were left off, and the inclusion of the post-credit scenes from other movies, actually providing a clear timeline of the future installments, making me conclude that this is very well thought out versus just being an easy cash grab for Maddock. I had a sigh of relief regarding the same, especially the way in which they integrated the cameos and made this universe come under one umbrella, opening up really cool possibilities as this world is only going to get bigger and better. Stree 2 eventually becomes a really solid, entertaining experience at the movies. The pressure was really high, and in an era where sequels mostly disappoint, absolutely losing the core of what made the original special, I feel this installment held on to what made us instantly connect with the misfits of Chanderi. I say this again, the collective feeling of laughing in a packed hall together for a commercial Bollywood movie, just the sheer sight of it makes me so happy. It happens so rarely, and Stree 2 really brought that feeling back. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about Stree 2. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram, the handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.